The judge raised his hand, signaling for silence, but the man didn't stop. His chest heaved as he clutched the trembling child closer, shielding her as though the world itself was a threat. "My name is Daniel Rocha," he said, his voice cracking. "And this girl is my daughter." Gasps spread across the courtroom. Only minutes earlier, everyone believed the adoption was a mere formality. A wealthy couple, polished and respected, had promised to give the little girl a new life. But now, with Daniel's words, doubt filled the air. The child, no more than 5 years old, buried her face against Daniel's neck. Her small fingers clung desperately to his shirt, as if afraid that letting go would mean losing him forever. Across the room, the elegant woman who claimed to be the new adoptive mother stiffened in her seat. Her red lipstick curled into a tense smile, but her eyes were icy. She exchanged a glance with her husband, a glance sharp enough to cut glass. The judge cleared his throat. "Mr. Rocha, this proceeding was scheduled weeks ago. If you are here to object, you must provide proof. What exactly are you claiming?" Daniel's knees almost buckled, but he stood tall. "I'm claiming that this adoption is a fraud. That couple doesn't want to raise her. They want to use her. And if you let them sign those papers, you'll be sentencing my daughter to a life she doesn't deserve." Whispers filled the room. "Fraud. Use her." The words echoed like thunder. From the back row, a young woman in simple clothes leaned forward. Her heart pounded in her chest. She knew Daniel, knew the pain in his eyes, the struggle he carried alone. She had seen him fight every day just to keep food on the table for that child. And she knew one more thing, something the entire courtroom didn't. The little girl wasn't Daniel's biological daughter. She wasn't even legally his. But to him, that didn't matter. He had raised her since she was a newborn. He had been the one to sing her to sleep, to wipe her tears, to hold her hand when the world was too heavy. The elegant woman finally rose, her heels clicking against the marble floor. "This is outrageous," she said sharply. "This man is an intruder, clinging to a child that doesn't even belong to him by blood. My husband and I have the means, the education, the status to provide her the life she deserves. Look at him. He's a broken man, drowning in debt. What can he possibly give her?" Daniel's voice trembled, but his words carried fire. "Everything. I can give her everything that matters: love, safety, and a home where she isn't a prize to be displayed. She is not a trophy. She is my family." The room grew still. For the first time, the judge's stern expression softened. Something about Daniel's desperate defiance didn't sound like a lie. But the truth? The truth was far more dangerous than anyone in that courtroom imagined. The wealthy couple's lawyer, a tall man in a tailored gray suit, stepped forward. His voice carried the calm authority of someone used to bending truth into victory. "Your Honor," he began smoothly, "this man's claims are nothing more than a desperate attempt to disrupt a legal process. The adoption was approved by every required authority. The documents are in order. There is no evidence to suggest fraud." He held up a stack of papers as though their weight alone could crush Daniel's words. The judge nodded slowly. "Mr. Rocha, do you have any proof of your accusations?" Something more than emotion. Daniel's jaw tightened. His hands shook as he looked around the room. Proof. That was the problem. All he had were suspicions, bits and pieces he had uncovered in sleepless nights. Late phone calls, strange visitors, whispered threats. He knew the couple wanted the girl for reasons no child should ever be wanted. But how could he prove it here, in front of all these people? The elegant woman stepped closer, her perfume sharp, her expression sweet but poisonous. She knelt slightly, pretending to comfort the little girl. "Darling," she said softly, though her eyes never left Daniel's. "You remember me, don't you? I brought you toys, dresses, sweets. Don't you want to come live in my beautiful house?" The girl pressed her face deeper into Daniel's shoulder, refusing even to look at her. The rejection was small, but powerful. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The woman's smile cracked. She stood abruptly, her voice rising. "This child is confused, manipulated. She doesn't understand what's best for her." But the young woman in the back row, Anna, couldn't stay silent anymore. She rose to her feet, her voice trembling but clear. Your Honor, may I speak? The judge hesitated, studying her simple dress, her nervous stance. Who are you? My name is Ana Ribeiro, she said, clasping her hands tightly. I work at the community center where Daniel often brings the child. I've seen them together almost every day for years. That man may not have papers to prove he's her father, but I've seen what he is, a father in every way that matters. The room buzzed again. The lawyer scoffed. Your Honor, this is irrelevant. Emotional witnesses cannot override legal contracts. But Anna's eyes burned with conviction. Irrelevant? Then tell me why this couple never once visited the girl until the adoption was nearly finalized. Tell me why their interest appeared only after a wealthy foundation announced a scholarship fund tied to children with her background. The lawyer froze. The woman's painted smile stiffened. The husband's hand twitched nervously against his cufflink. Scholarship fund? The judge repeated. Anna nodded. Millions of dollars, Your Honor. Money that follows the child wherever she goes. If she's adopted, the new parents control it. A heavy silence swallowed the courtroom. The judge leaned back, his gaze sharp now. Is this true? He asked, directing the question to the couple. The husband opened his mouth, but his wife cut him off. This is absurd. We want her because we love children. We want to give her opportunity, not money. But the tremor in her voice betrayed her. Daniel clutched the girl tighter, his heart pounding. Finally, someone else had spoken aloud what he had feared all along. The child wasn't just at risk of being taken. She was at risk of being sold. The judge's expression hardened. If these accusations prove correct, this is not just a matter of custody. This is criminal. Daniel's eyes met Anna's. For the first time in weeks, he didn't feel completely alone. But deep down, he knew. Exposing the truth about this couple would not be simple. They were powerful, connected, and ruthless, and they would not let go of the child without a fight. The judge's gavel struck the table. Order in the court. Until further notice, I will suspend the signing of this adoption. An investigation must be conducted before any final decision. For a brief moment, relief washed over Daniel. His knees trembled. His arms ached from holding the girl so tightly, but his heart soared. He had bought time, but the victory was short-lived. As the judge prepared to leave, the lawyer moved quickly, whispering urgently in the couple's ears. The elegant woman's expression darkened. She turned her gaze back to Daniel, and in her eyes there was no trace of defeat, only rage. Outside the courthouse, the crowd of journalists waiting for a routine adoption case now had a storm on their hands. Microphones and cameras swarmed, flashes exploding like fireworks. Mr. Rocha, do you have proof of fraud? Is it true the child controls a fortune? Are you just trying to stop a wealthy couple out of jealousy? Daniel shielded the girl with his coat and tried to push through, but the chaos only grew louder. Then, out of nowhere, a sleek black car pulled up beside them. The tinted window rolled down just enough for the elegant woman's cold voice to drift out. You think you've won today, Mr. Rocha, she said softly, almost sweetly. But you don't understand who you're fighting. You're a man with nothing. We are people with power, and power always wins. The car sped away before Daniel could answer, leaving behind a cloud of smoke and a sinking feeling in his chest. Anna hurried up beside him, her face pale. She won't stop, Daniel. You know that, right? They'll come after you. They'll come after her. Daniel looked down at the little girl. Her eyes were heavy with fear, but she didn't cry. She just clung tighter, as though she already understood the danger. I don't care what it takes, Daniel whispered. I won't let them have her. That night, back in his small apartment, Daniel sat awake at the edge of the bed. The girl finally slept, her tiny chest rising and falling with fragile rhythm. Anna sat across from him, folding her hands nervously. You need more than love now, she said gently. You need evidence. Real evidence. Daniel rubbed his face. I've tried. Everything they do is behind closed doors. How do I fight people who hide their sins in shadows? Anna hesitated before speaking. What if I told you I've already started digging? Daniel froze. She pulled a folder from her bag and placed it on the table. Inside were photos, copies of financial records, names of organizations. I work at the community center, Anna explained. "But I also volunteer with a legal aid group. I've seen their names before. That couple isn't just after this child. They've done this before. Different towns, different kids. Always the same pattern. They adopt, take control of scholarships or inheritance funds, and then," she swallowed hard, "the children disappear." Daniel's heart clenched. His hands shook as he turned the pages. Every instinct screamed that this was more than he could handle. But the proof was here, staring back at him. "If this is true," his voice broke, "then she's in even more danger than I thought." Anna leaned closer. "Daniel, you can't do this alone. We need to take this to someone who won't be bought, someone who will listen." Daniel looked at the sleeping girl, her tiny fist curled around his blanket. His throat tightened. "I'll do whatever it takes. But if they find out we're investigating..." Anna nodded grimly. "They'll come after us too." The apartment fell into heavy silence, broken only by the faint hum of the city outside. Daniel had thought his biggest battle was keeping custody. Now he realized the truth. He was fighting a war against people who would do anything to keep their secrets buried. And in this war, love alone might not be enough to save the child. 2 nights later, Daniel was leaving work when he felt it, a presence following him. The streets were quiet, the only sound his own footsteps echoing against the worn pavement. But every time he turned a corner, there it was again. At first, he told himself it was paranoia. But when a shadow broke away from the alley and moved closer, his chest tightened. "Mr. Rocha," a voice called, calm and cold. Daniel spun around. A man in a black suit stood beneath the flickering streetlight. His build was strong, his expression unreadable, his eyes hidden behind dark glasses even in the night. "You should stop," the man said flatly. "For your own good. For the girl's good." Daniel's fists clenched. "If you think I'll let you take her..." "You misunderstand," the man interrupted smoothly. "We don't want to hurt her. But accidents happen. And if you keep pushing, if you keep digging where you don't belong, well..." He tilted his head slightly, as though picturing something unpleasant. "She's fragile. Children are." The blood drained from Daniel's face. His instincts screamed to lunge at the man, but he knew better. This wasn't a fight he could win with fists. The man slipped a card into Daniel's pocket as he brushed past. "One chance, Mr. Rocha. Walk away. Forget this. Sign over custody, and you'll both live peacefully." And just like that, he vanished into the dark. By the time Daniel made it back to the apartment, his hands were still trembling. Anna opened the door, alarm flashing across her face. "What happened?" He shut the door quickly, checking the locks twice before answering. They know. They know I've been digging. They threatened her." Anna's face went pale. "Then we have to move faster. I've been talking to someone, an investigative journalist. He's been following cases like this for years. He believes me. He's willing to meet." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "And what if it's a trap? What if they're watching us already?" "Then we don't have a choice," Anna said firmly. "Every day we wait, she's in more danger." The next evening, they met the journalist in a dim cafe far from the city center. His name was Marcos, a thin man with tired eyes but a sharp mind. He listened as Anna laid out the folder of evidence. When she finished, Marcos leaned back, his brow furrowed. "You're right. This couple isn't alone. They're part of a network, wealthy families, lawyers, even doctors. They exploit loopholes in the adoption system. On paper, it looks legal. In reality, it's trafficking disguised as charity." Daniel felt the ground shift beneath him. "And the children?" Marcos's lips pressed into a grim line. "Most never surface again. The ones who do, they're not the same." Silence hung heavy over the table. "Then expose them," Daniel demanded. "Write the story, put it out there. Make the world see what they are." Marcos shook his head. "Not yet. Without undeniable proof, it'll just be dismissed as rumor. Worse, they'll sue, discredit me, and the girl will be gone before anyone believes you. We need something solid. Documents. Recordings. A witness from inside." Anna glanced at Daniel nervously. "That means we have to get closer to them." Daniel's heart thundered. The thought of walking into their world, of standing within reach of the people who wanted to take his daughter, it was madness. But he knew there was no other way. That night, after putting the girl to bed, Daniel sat in the dark living room with Anna. The folder lay open on the table, the weight of it pressing down on both of them. "Every step we take puts her in more danger," Daniel whispered. Anna placed her hand over his. "And every step we don't take leaves her in theirs. Which is worse?" He looked toward the bedroom, where the little girl slept peacefully, unaware of the storm brewing around her. His chest ached with the answer. Finally, he nodded. "We'll do it. We'll find what we need, no matter the risk." But even as he said the words, a shiver crawled up his spine. Because deep down, Daniel knew the couple wasn't going to sit back and wait. They were already planning their next move. And if he failed, even once, the girl he loved like his own would vanish forever. The courthouse was packed again, only this time the air was different. Reporters lined the halls, cameras waited outside, and whispers filled every corner. The wealthy couple walked in with perfect smiles, dressed as though they were stepping onto a stage. But Daniel wasn't alone anymore. Anna walked beside him, the little girl's hand clasped tightly in his. And Marcos, the journalist, carried a small recorder in his pocket, a recorder filled with the evidence they had risked everything to obtain. The judge's gavel struck. "We are here to continue the matter of custody. Are there any new statements before I make my ruling?" Daniel rose slowly, his heart pounding. His voice was steady, though his hands trembled. "Yes, Your Honor. I have evidence. Evidence that proves this adoption was never about love for a child, but about money. About power." Gasps echoed. The elegant woman's smile faltered. Marco stepped forward, handing over documents, bank records, and most importantly, the recording. The courtroom grew deathly silent as the judge pressed play. A familiar voice filled the room, the woman's voice. "The scholarship is worth millions. Once she's ours, we'll have control. Daniel Rocha is nothing. He can't stop us." Her words dripped with arrogance, recorded in her own home during a meeting she thought was private. The judge's face hardened. Murmurs turned into outrage. The couple's lawyer stammered, searching for words, but there was nothing left to defend. The woman shot to her feet, her mask cracking. "This is illegal. You can't use this." The judge silenced her with a sharp look. "What is illegal is exploiting children for financial gain. This court will not allow it." Daniel sank back into his seat, relief flooding his chest. The little girl leaned into him, whispering softly, "Daddy, are we safe now?" His throat tightened. He kissed her hair. "Yes, my love. You're safe now." The gavel came down one final time. Custody denied. This case will be referred to federal authorities for criminal investigation. Until then, the child remains with Daniel Rocha. Applause broke out, not from the court, but from the people who had been silently praying for justice. The wealthy couple was escorted out, their empire crumbling with every step. And Daniel? He walked out of that courthouse not just with the girl in his arms, but with a truth shining brighter than any victory. He wasn't just fighting for her life. He had proven to the world that love, courage, and sacrifice were stronger than power. Outside, the cameras flashed, microphones swarmed, and voices begged for comments. Daniel didn't stop for any of them. He only held her hand tighter, whispered a promise into the wind, and walked into the sunlight. For the first time in years, he felt free. And for the first time in her life, the little girl finally had a home.